Hi everyone. Lakshya, I'm starting the recording and then you're good to start. You're good to start.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Perfect. Bonjour. I see a lot of people have already connected. Thanks, guys, for connecting in on time. That's superb. Welcome, everyone. Bienvenue. Okay, we're going to take just a minute and let everybody else join in because the link was recently sent out. So just be a little patient, get everything together that you need, and we're going to just kick this off in another minute.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Ilakshi, over to you. Bye-bye.
Perfect. Thank you. Superb, guys. Welcome, everyone. You guys are very quick to join in. I know that the link was very recently sent out, but I'm glad that everybody was able to quickly join in. So that's great. Thank you so very much. While we have people coming in, let me go ahead and introduce myself for those who don't know me. My name is Ilakshi Talwar Sharma. I'm a TCF and TEF trainer. A lot of you have already seen me with multiple videos that I've been doing, and I do them weekly. The aim of doing these workshops, these specialized workshops for you guys, is to make sure that you guys get a little bit more information and help other than what you're already doing in the class. So I hope and I'm sure that your classes are going great. You guys are progressing, you guys are having fun, you guys are learning. Today's session is a very interesting one. Okay. I think we have a few people who join in, but okay. All right. Alors, aujourd'hui, nous sommes ensemble ici pour un atelier pour des constructions des phrases en français. So today we're going to be focusing on construction of sentences in French. Obviously, now you understand that c'est pour tous les niveaux. It's definitely for all the levels. If you're a débutant ou avancé, that doesn't really matter. It's for everybody. So pas de stress. C'est assez facile à suivre. On va apprendre beaucoup aujourd'hui. Okay? It's going to be very simple, very easy. It's going to help you brush up a lot of things that you guys already know. Elements of a sentence, how to create simple and complex sentences. What are the elements that can get added into it to make it more comprehensive, more detailed. So anybody who's at a beginning level, which is an A1 or an A2 level, will understand how to brush that up, how to put in the elements of grammar that you're already using, and how to construct sentences error-free. And those who are at advanced level will understand how to make that existing simple sentence more detailed and more level-centric. All right, so there's definitely a lot of information today, but it's going to be really simple. All right. Once again, before starting, I'd like to request everybody, si c'est possible, if it's really possible, and you guys could turn on your cameras, that would be really nice. I would really appreciate it. It really helps me interact better with you guys. Like I said, we're not judging anybody. You guys could be either sitting in your bed and watching the video. That's fine. Let's just turn on our videos, guys. It really helps me interact with you guys better. I can read your expressions. That's really very helpful. Okay, perfect. I see a lot of people that I usually see the usuals and the regulars. That's great. Welcome back, guys. Alors, on va commencer maintenant. Il y a quelqu'un qui va rejoindre? Pas de problème. There are more people joining in, but no problem. Let's kickstart this today. All right. Everybody, like usual, I hope that you have a pencil and a pen with you and a notebook just in case you want to scribble down some notes. Also, if you guys miss out on anything, you already know that the video is going to be on YouTube, so you guys can always refer back to it. Okay, so the document's going to be there. Alors, je vais maintenant partager mon écran. I'm now going to share my screen with you guys. Let me know if you guys can see it et on va commencer. Okay, c'est visible maintenant? Everybody just give me a thumbs up on the chat. That's a sense of validation to me. I know you guys can see my video there. Perfect, super, merci. Alors, on va commencer ici. Now, everybody take your roots back to English a little bit. When we construct a sentence, we know that there's certain elements that we add to it, which includes the subject, there's a verb, and there's a complement. which we call a complément d'objet. Say or they. Could be direct, could be indirect. All right. But our sentence usually starts from a subject, the person who is talking, followed by the verb, followed by complément objet, which is your COD, COE, and so on and so forth. And there are multiple elements that can be added in this basic structure. We'll narrow it down from the very, very beginning. Okay? Alors, the basic structure we know is the subject, verb, and complement. If we decode each and every element today, le premier, ça c'est le sujet, the first thing, which is the subject, that is the person that is performing that action. All right, we know the basic subject list. Okay, so it's je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. Once again, for those who remember phonetics, please make sure you're not pronouncing this as ils or elles until unless you're connecting it with the liaison. Alors, so it's je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. Okay, very important. One more thing for you guys to understand. When we're talking about on, it also means we, but it's in the context of one must do this to take care of the environment. One must be very careful. So that one is what, as you say in French, that is we. And that you can denote by on. So I, you obviously know that you is used for informal. He, she, we. Vous is you or you all. All right, again, can be used for formal structure and can also be used for plurial. And finally, we have il and elle, which is they. Very, very basic. So anybody who's performing the action, that is your subject. Your verb, obviously, that's the action word that is being performed. And you know many, I'm sure, like manger, aller, danser. Two very, very important ones that we cannot do without. That's your avoir and être. And they're also known as the auxiliary verbs. Okay? Why are they called so? Because they are helping words. These two verbs actually help us formulate a lot of tenses that we make, whether it's passé composé, whether it's plus parfait, whether it's futur antérieur. There are so many tenses that require and need these two verbs primarily to create that tense. Hence, we call them the helping verbs. Okay? The conjugation, quick recap of that. In the present tense for être, je suis, tu es, il, elle est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont. Just a quick reminder, we have a liaison here, vous êtes. So be very mindful of that. When we come to avoir, it's j'ai, tu as, il, elle, a, nous avons, again there's a liaison here, vous avez, again a liaison here, and ils ont, elles ont. The sound difference between the two. This on the left hand side for être is ils sont. Sont. Everybody can just say that once for clarity. This is ils sont. The one on the right, which is for avoir, that is ils ont. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, now we can change the tense of these sentences, but the structure and the rule will remain the same for me. So it's the subject, which is the sujet, le verbe, which is the verb, could be in any tense, followed by my object. Okay? Alors, let's take an example. Anybody who wants to volunteer to read out the sentences can do that. You guys just need to raise your hand and we'll cater to anybody who wants to read?
I can do that.
Okay, lovely, superb. Let's give it a shot.
Je suis content.
Very nice. Je suis content.
J'étais content.
Super. J'étais content.
Je serai content.
Je serai content. Super. Do we also know what is the difference between them by any chance?
Yes, I am happy. I was happy. I will be happy.
I would be happy. Very
would
nice.
Be, would be.
Perfect. Very nice. So, je, which is your subject, followed by your verb, which is être, followed by your object. So, je suis content. J'étais content. I was happy. Je serai content. I would be happy. So, that's your conditional tense. The structure, however, remains the same. I think I have somebody who's asked a question. Someone had a question? No, okay.
No, I just volunteered for reading. There was no question. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Can you be a little louder? I don't think I could hear you well enough.
No, it wasn't the question. I was just volunteering to read the
Okay,
sentence.
perfect. Let's go ahead then. Thank you so much, Asha. That was perfect. Thank you. All right, Neeraj, let's go ahead.
Tu es retard.
Tu es
Sorry,
en
tu es
retard.
en retard.
Very nice.
Tu étais en retard.
Super, tu étais en retard. Encore. What is the difference between the two? Quelle est la différence entre les deux phrases?
One is present and the other is past. Like-
Imparfait. Yes, it's
Imperfect.
one of the past tenses, which is imparfait. Super. Tu es en retard is you are late. Tu étais en retard, you were late. Perfect. Very nice. And the pronunciation was also great. Perfect. Anybody else who wants to volunteer for the next one?
Oh yeah, I'll try.
Yes, absolutely. Why not?
Il est fatigué, il était fatigué, il sera fatigué.
Okay. Perfect. We're just going to make a small correction here. It's supposed to be fatigué,
Fatigué,
fatigué, and fatigué. You read perfectly fine. Okay, that was an error here. Perfect. Can we read it once again?
il est fatigué, il était fatigué, il sera fatigué.
Super. Et est-ce que vous connaissez la différence entre les phrases, parmi les phrases?
He is fatigued, he's tired.
Very nice.
He was tired, he will be.
He will be tired. Very nice. Superb. Merci. Anyone else who wants to go for the next one? You may unmute yourself if you want to, because like I said, I can't see everybody's camera. So if anybody wants to read the next sentence, you guys can just unmute yourselves. Or then I'll go ahead and read it. Either way.
Elle est française.
Elle est française. Very nice. Super. She is French.
French.
Very nice. Merci. La dernière maintenant. La cinquième phrase.
Ils sont à l'école.
Ils sont à l'école. Very nice.
Ils étaient à l'école.
Ils étaient à l'école.
Ils étaient à l'école, oui.
Super. So, ils sont à l'école means they are at the school. That means right now, present tense. And ils étaient à l'école is imparfait. They were at the school.
Oui.
The structure of the sentences remain the same, which is that we're using our subject, we're using our verb, and we're using the object. And that structure remains the same even if we change the tenses. Let's take some examples with avoir as well. Once again, anybody who wants to unmute themselves?
I can read again.
Perfect.
Tu as faim, tu avais faim, tu aurais faim.
Super. Tu as faim, tu avais faim, tu aurais faim. Very good. Do we also know the difference?
Yeah, I think you are hungry, you were hungry, and you would be hungry.
Perfect. Lovely. You are hungry, which is present tense right now. Tu avais faim, that means you were hungry. Past continuous for you. Tu aurais faim would be you would be hungry, which is conditional tense for you. The next says j'ai peur. J'avais peur and j'aurais peur. Again, anybody who can identify this expression of avoir peur, what does it mean?
I'm afraid, I was afraid, and I will be afraid.
Absolutely. Super. Merci. C'était excellent. Et la troisième phrase aussi maintenant, s'il vous plaît.
J'ai 18 ans.
Perfect. J'ai 18 ans, which is your present tense. Again, same structure. Your subject, verb, and object. If we just look at how the verbs are, everybody, I'm sure today's probably not your first session. You guys have information about this already. But just to make sure that we catering to the audience, everybody and everybody who is even attending for the first time would know, we have three kinds of verb groups. We have ER, IR, and RE. All right. Sorry, guys, excuse me. ER verbs are all those verbs which will be ending with ER. IR verbs, on the other hand, are all of those verbs which will end in IR. So we have options here like manger, aimer, arriver, parler. With IR, we have options such as finir, venir, ouvrir. With RE ending verbs, we have attendre, which is to wait, prendre, which is to take, descendre, which is to descend, which is to come down, vendre, which is to sell. They are easily identifiable because they end with these endings. These endings play a very, very important role also in identifying how they are conjugated. We often consider our, so this is again part of your recap, guys. ER verbs are often called as regular verbs because they have a specific regular format, standard format of being conjugated. IR and RE verbs, on the other hand, they're considered to be an irregular group because they have n number of amount of rules with which they get conjugated, and all these conjugations have to be memorized by heart. It's impossible for us to make a sentence without the presence of a verb. So the broader our knowledge and vocabulary is of the verbs, the better and more sentences can we come up with and make. All right, let's do one thing. Everybody can, so you have certain examples on the chat in front of you on the screen. I want all of you to, on the chat, put in one example each for ER, IR, and RE verbs that are not in the list right now. Let's throw in some verbs. Come on, guys. On the chat. One ER, one IR, and one RE, something that's not already there on the screen. Mourir, very nice, which is to die. Montrer, super. Envoyer, very nice. Écouter, choisir. Excellent verbs. Adorer, danser, manger. So Smita said, aller, choisir, entendre. Very nice. Aider, découvrir. Okay, Julien, perfect example. Spelling error. I know it's a typo. Obviously, that's perfect. I know, very, very clumsy with my typing too. Écrire, super. Écouter, choisir, travailler, faire, savoir. Apprendre, super. Devenir, excellent. Just the spelling, it's D-E-V-E. Very nice. Tomber, retourner. Amener, nice. Tenir, ventreux. Alors, super. Ajouter, apprendre, montrer. So with an R there. Remplir, descendre, retourner. Excellent exemple. Jouer, espérer, R-E-R. So it's an ER verb. Sortir, ramasser, danser, partir. Very nice, guys. Everybody, look at the verb list that your peers have put in. Ask yourself, how many of these do you know? Are you all on the same page? Do you think, yes, these are very common ones, I already know them? Or are there some new ones? Like I always say, whichever ones are new, you add them to your existing vocabulary. Okay, so you take this as an opportunity to add it to your vocabulary. These are very basic verbs, and you guys have presented some excellent examples. Okay, the more you work on increasing your capacity with respect to your verbs and the vocabulary around it, you'll be a little bit more confident in framing more sentences and expressing yourself. But perfect and excellent examples, guys. Super. Merci. Thank you for making that possible. Alors, when we say je suis mangé and je suis mange, and it says it's incorrect, okay? Anyone randomly who can tell me on the chat, why are these two incorrect? Why do we say je mange? Why not je suis mangé or je suis mange? We know we say je mange, but anybody who can tell me why not je suis mange? If I'm saying I am eating, why not je suis mangé? Or why not je suis mange? I am eating. Randomly, throw in, like, if you guys have any random idea about it, can you just throw it on in the chat for me? I am to
want
eat.
itself means to eat.
Yeah. There's no continuous tense, correct? Very nice. The verb in itself explains the action. Correct, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those who know. And that's great. That's absolutely right. That's bang on. Mange, when we conjugate the verbs, they themselves in itself mean I eat or I am eating. I do not need specifically the subject je and the verb am followed by my principal verb. Je mange in itself is sufficient enough to communicate I eat as well as I am eating. All right. So we can never, okay, sorry, I think we went down a little bit. We can never actually say je suis mangé or je suis mange. It's incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. Like I can't say je suis aimé. Don't say I am liking dancing. No, c'est incorrect. It's j'aime danser. I like, followed by a full verb, because when we conjugate the first verb, we do not conjugate the verb following that, which is the second verb concept. So for those of you who know, great. For those who don't know, quick recap on it. When we have two verbs that come together, we only conjugate the first verb. The second verb is the full verb. We do not conjugate it. Hence, j'aime danser for you means I like to dance, or I like to dance, or I like dancing, or I like dancing, either way. Both translations work. Okay. If you want to say I work or I am working, it's the same thing as je travaille. So je travaille in itself is sufficient to communicate I work or I am working, either way. Je suis travail would literally mean I am work. I am work. And we don't want to say that. Okay, so that's incorrect. Now that we understand the subjects and the verbs, which are very basics, let's now understand the objects. An object, again, diving back to our basics in English, okay? An object is anything on which the action is being performed. All right? Now that object is anything that will fall after your verb. Okay? So it accompanies the verb, which means it is followed and it follows the verb. It can give you any specification with respect to the quality, any specifications such as time, place, way, manner, could be anything. And all of that would be counted as an object. For example, if I say je joue, I play avec mon copain. Evidently, je is my subject. Joue is my verb. Anything after that, which is avec mon copain, that is my object or my complement. It has multiple elements in it, but the whole thing is my complement. If I look at the next sentence, I have my subject, which is je. I have my verb joue. Sur l'ordinateur is my complement or my complément d'objet. Depuis ce matin, which is also giving me more description or more specification about, let's say, time, is also my object. Okay, let's look at it a little bit more in detail. If I say tu as un chat, tu is my subject followed by my verb a. Un chat, the entire thing is my objet. Je mange le gâteau, again, je is my subject, mange is my verb, le gâteau entirely is my object. Nous achetons, we buy la voiture, nous is my subject, achetons being my verb, and la voiture is my object. So my sentence structure will always remain this. It will always have the subject followed by the verb, followed by my object. Now, as you saw these examples, you figure that there are multiple elements in this object. Now, what are those elements? The more familiar you are with these elements, the more elements you can add and make it a complex sentence or a longer sentence. Instead of just saying je mange une pomme, which is a basic sentence, it can then go on. You can then add elements in it and make it a longer sentence. And that's how your sentence construction should improve from your A1 to A2 level or B1 to B2 level, by adding elements in your object. Okay, let's see that a little bit more in detail. What are these elements that we can add? Articles, very, very basic. So the example that we just saw, je mange. my subject and my verb. If I add my article and my objet, this entire thing becomes my object. So, je mange les pommes. Je mange les bananes. Je mange les mangues. If I, let's say, want to replace it with partitive articles. Partitive articles, now you know there are multiple types of articles that you guys have. We know, it's a quick recap. Let's do this, okay? We have definite articles. Now, this is your direct translation to the. Anything which is specific. Denoted by le, la, l'apostrophe, and les. English, we just have the word the. In French, to say the, we have 4 words. Le, la, le, and les. The pronunciation of each of these elements is very, very crucial, guys. Okay? Then we have the indefinite articles, which basically denote a, an, some, or any. Indefinite. We do not have specific information to good for it. It could be anything. Now, this is a, une, des. Make sense? Those are the 2 basic kinds of articles that you already know. We have the partitif article. Partitif articles is you saying some. When it refers to an unspecified quantity, which is for food or liquids or drinks or any uncountable noun. So if I say I eat some apples, okay, I have some bananas, I have some water. Either you say I have a glass of water, j'ai un verre d'eau, or you say I have some water, j'ai d'eau. But you cannot say le or in that. It has to be partitif. So you have options such as du, which is masculine, singulière, du, de la, de le, and then you have des. Evidently, we all know by now, masculine, feminine, starting with the vowel and pluriel. We also have some articles such as that we call article contractif. That's your contracted articles, wherein you combine a and le. A plus la. So it's a combination of a. Are we all together? Do we all follow this? Yeah, okay. So we have contracted articles in which we combine a followed by le. So let's say our combinations would work like a. Let me type it a little bit better here. So a plus le, which becomes o, a plus la, which becomes obviously the same thing, a la. We have a plus l'apostrophe, which is again the same thing. Then we have a plus le, which gives me o. These are contractions and contracted articles, again a type of article. We also have another kind of contracted articles, which is the combination of the plus le, which is du, the plus la, which is the la. Then we have the plus l'apostrophe, which is again there, and then we have the plus le, which gives me de. All these are the different kinds of articles that exist. All of which, when you add to your sentence, and you have to if you're adding an object, of course, any of these would be needed. So if I say, je mange des pommes, I eat some apples. Okay, Neeraj, you have a question?
Ma'am, what will be the difference in the use of some when it comes to indefinite and partitif? Is partitif only used for liquids?
So partitif, in your head, think of it this way. Partitif would be used for your food, your drinks, which is liquid basically, and anything that is uncountable. So look at it from this perspective. I'm saying I have some hair.
Okay.
I would say des cheveux. Yes?
Yes.
Now in my head, I'm using they because I'm using the translation as some.
Yes.
I could define it as in terms of, hey, that's my indefinite article. I have some hair. I could also use it and think of it in terms of it's a partitif article. Why? Because uncountable. No, I can't count hair. I have
Okay.
some milk. That is directly partitif without thinking.
Okay.
But with respect to they, your translation in itself of some is what works. With uncountable as well as because that's your sum. You're not counting it. So either way, your they works. Whether you think of it from a perspective of indefinite or partitive, works either way.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah? Okay. The next element that we have, which is an important element, which you do again in a very beginning level, is your prepositions, preposition. Now, these are prepositions, again, very, very basic. These are words that are going to link your sentences together. They are generally placed after the verb. So if you're looking at a sentence structure, you'll have your subject, verb, and then after the verb, you may have a preposition coming in. Okay? These prepositions are multitude of types. You've been doing them, preposition of place, preposition of... So there are multiple that you've been doing, but let's look at some very basic ones today. A means in, at, or to. Je vais à Paris, I'm going to Paris. We also do preposition which are specific to countries, cities. So we know that again, a recap. As a preposition is used for cities. If you're going to a city, let's say you say, je vais à Dubai, je vais à Delhi, je vais à Montréal, je vais à Toronto. You're going to be using for all the cities. Okay? De, on the other hand, is used to denote of or from. So if you're coming from a place or this belongs to somebody, le livre de Marie, the book of Marie, you're going to be using of or from, and that's directly one way of saying that in French, which is de. Now, because we do not have the concept of apostrophe S in French, anything that we want to communicate, which is with apostrophe, like Marie's book, or let's say George's house, or my parents' house, that apostrophe for me, I'm going to swap it. I'm going to use the and say the book of Marie, the house of my parents, the house of George, the class of French. So anything in apostrophe S that you think of in English and you want to translate it, that's how you're going to do. You're going to swap it. Okay? The next we have dans, which is in. Basically inside. Physically, you're inside. Okay? So le stylo est dans la boîte. So there's a pen which is inside the box. Hence, dans. Sur, on the other hand, is for on. Now, this is your physical position, which is on. So let's say that's my notebook. Okay, cahier. And that's my phone. This is on. Sur. This is sous. Pronunciation sur, sous. Devant, in front of, derrière. Derrière, which is behind. So sur, sous, devant, derrière. Always try to learn these prepositions with their opposites, because then you A, are increasing your vocabulary, B, you will learn multiple of them with opposites, okay, which is great. Either way works, okay? So sur. Le cahier est sur la table. The notebook is on the table. Le chat est sous la chaise. It's under the chair. Devant, which is in front of, and the opposite is derrière. So let's say, il y a un banc devant l'école. There is a bank which is in there. Sorry, there's a bench which is in front of the school. Le jardin est derrière la maison. The garden is behind the house. Avec and sans, again opposites. Avec is with, sans is without. So je parle avec mon ami. I speak with my friend. Le café est sans sucre. The coffee is without sugar. So try always learning your prepositions, these prepositions with their opposites. It becomes easier to retain them. Okay, let's continue. Pour is for. The opposite for pour is contre, by the way. For and against. Vous êtes pour ou contre? You are for or against. Contre. So, ce cadeau est pour toi. This gift is for you. You can clearly see ce cadeau, that's your subject. A is your verb. Pour is your preposition. And the whole element is your objet. Yes, we have somebody with a question. Let's take that up.
Yeah, just want to know. So I have been pronouncing it pour. So it's
Just put it
completely
back.
wrong, right? The pour, it should be pour.
Pour.
Okay.
Pour.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. Just want to get covered. Okay. Good.
It's pour. Again, why is it pour? Also, I'll justify it. Take it back to your phonetics. OU put together is OO. Okay? OU as a combination, when we put together, the sound is OO. Hence,
Gari.
Yeah.
Thank you.
avant is before. Let's say, so avant and davant. Now, davant is a physical position. Avant does not necessarily have to be a physical position. Okay, so if I say, all right. Okay, if I say day before yesterday, it's avant-hier. Day before yesterday, avant-hier. Now, that avant is not specifically denoting a physical position, right? But if I say, je suis maintenant devant mon ordinateur, my physical position is right now in front of the computer. Okay, l'école est devant l'université. The school is in front of the university. It's a physical position. So devant has got more to do with your physical position of the object and the subject that you have. Okay, avant not necessarily. Is that a little better? Okay, let me type out some examples for you. And let's address this difference between avant and devant. Okay. Okay, I'm putting some on the chats. Anybody who wants to copy can also do that instead of putting it on the screen. Okay. Hello. Let's see. So when I look at avant, and it's an excellent question, by the way. Okay. Avant mostly for time and order. Okay, not a physical position. So je me lave les mains avant le dîner, before dinner. Okay. Or elle fait ses devoirs avant de regarder la télé. She does her homework before watching television. Il arrive avant moi. He arrives before me. The translation here is before, but with respect to time. Okay? Devant, on the other hand, is your position in front of. So, let's look at some examples, okay? Le chat est assis devant la porte. The cat is sitting in front of the door. Les enfants jouent devant l'école. The kids or the children play in front of the school. Je me tiens devant toi. I'm standing in front of you. Do you guys see visibly the difference between the two? The usage will always remain like this. Okay, I've put it on the chat for you guys. If you guys want, you can copy directly from here. That's why I didn't put it on the screen, but I hope this helps in clearing out the difference. And it was an excellent question, by the way. Perfect. Super. All right. And if you guys have questions, just keep telling me, let me know, and I'll keep addressing them. Okay. Super. Let's carry on from here. Chez, at someone's place. So it's basically me saying at the place of. So if I say je vais chez Paul, it's I'm going to Paul's place. Now, chez in itself as a preposition is an excellent preposition because it suffices the whole thing, at the place of or at someone's place. So je vais chez Paul, it's I'm going to Paul's place. You can also use it if you're going to a professional's place. For example, if you're going to a doctor, you can say je vais chez le docteur. You can say that if it's a specific professional's place, because it literally does not mean that you're going to their residence. That means you're going to their place, which is their place of work, which in this case, for example, is the clinic. Okay? Alors, entre. Entre means between. So you have to have two elements and something is between them. So, il est assis entre ses parents. He's sitting between his parents. There's another term, guys, which I often see people mixing up, which is parmi. Parmi means among. Let's brainstorm, guys. Can anybody think of it and tell me what is the difference between entre and parmi? I've told you entre means between, parmi means among. If we were to think of it, what's the difference between entre and parmi?
Between is used when we are comparing anything between two people, and among can be like among a group of people.
Absolutely. So excellent, super. And I was absolutely bang on in terms of explanation also. Entre is between two people. For example, I say cette conversation est entre toi et moi. This conversation is between you and me. That's just the two of us. But if it's a conversation, if it's something, the two elements, there are many. When you're talking about a group or many things or many people, that is parmi. So let's say I say, and everybody listen to me, okay? Okay. Il y a des fleurs rouges parmi les fleurs blanches. I'll repeat, okay? Il y a des fleurs rouges parmi les fleurs blanches. There are red flowers among the white flowers. Now, do you see the difference of how many there are? Okay, that's the key difference between using entre and parmi, which I often see people messing up at higher levels too. So you should just know the difference. All right, but excellent. Thank you so much for that help. That was really nice. Près de and loin de, near and far from. L'école est près de la gare, ma maison est loin de l'université. En also means in or by. Now, I know you guys already know that en is specifically for saying in, but when we talk about transportation, everybody, just to let you guys know, all your closed transportation that carries you. For example, you have voiture, avion, train. This is en. So if I say je vais en voiture, je vais en avion, je vais en train. Closed transportation, that is en. If it's an open, like let's say vélo, that is a. Do you understand the difference? If it's à pied, it's by foot. À vélo, à moto. So your open transport would be a. But your closed transport will be en. Does that make sense? Anybody who has a question with that? Yes.
So the A in the sense, is it just the A or with the graph?
With
No.
the graph. Okay, let
With
me
the
put
graph.
in some examples, okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let me put in some examples that should clear it out. On the chat. Again, guys, I'm putting it on the chat so you guys can definitely copy if you want. And okay, voila. Okay, so en is used for all your closed transport, okay, when you're inside something. So je vais en bus, elle voyage en train, nous partons en voiture, ils vont en avion. All closed transport. On the other hand, when it's an individual or an open air transport, okay, that maybe you sit on it or let's say you stand on it or whatever, either way. So it's an open transport. Je vais à vélo, I go by bike. Now bike, again, open transport. Elle se déplace à moto, she gets her by motorbike, again, open transport. Ils vont à cheval, again. Now I know horseback is not a transport, but it's an individual or an open air way for you to commute. Tu rentres à pied, go by foot. Again, open, individual. So the easy thumb rule for this would be when you're inside a vehicle. So your car, bus, train, plane, boat. On the other hand, when you're on something. So it's bike, motorbike, horse, foot. That's a. Make sense? Does that clear it out? Okay, we have some, okay, I want to know about par. Okay, Karamji, can you also put down what specifically you want to know about it? And in the meanwhile, I take Neeraj's question.
Ma'am, now I got confused between don and en.
Okay. I think that's a question with a lot of people. Let me put in some examples, okay? One sec, let me put something down. All right. I'll put in some very easy tricks for it, okay? May not work, but let's put it that way. And if after this, we have more questions around prepositions, I'll try to do a workshop only on prepositions for you guys, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
No. Let me put it. Okay. Now, when we talk about en, which basically means in, it's general, okay, for a longer period of time. Let's say, first is when I'm using for geographical location. When you're going to a country, you'll use on, right, for feminine country. So that's one place where you're using it. Second, when you are in a space, je suis en classe can also be used for dans classe, that's perfectly fine, or for durations, or des jours, like that kind of a duration, which is a longer duration. So think of it if you're inside something but not precise. Okay, dans is when you're physically inside something, like your pen is inside the pouch, he's seated inside the car, I'm going to start the class in 5 minutes, short duration, huh? Okay, the kids are in the garden. So this is one difference between en and dans. En is used for your longer period of time. When you talk about language, when you talk about period or country, that's your en. Okay, all these places using in, the meaning is in only, but these places. Dans, when you're inside a space, it's the exact moment, it's a short duration of time, that's your dans. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Perfect. No problem at all. All right. Let's proceed from here. Oh, we had a question. Karmi, you also had a question?
Yeah, I also have a question because we also use par for buy, like buy something else. So I just want to know the difference between par
Okay.
and
Let's say okay, I'll take up the same example as I just did for your transportation. Okay. Now, en and a, they're the most common ways to express how you travel. Je vais en bus, elle voyage en train, nous partons en voiture, il va à vélo. Par, on the other hand, is less common. It's often very, very passive. Okay. For example, okay, it's used when, let's say, the transportation is the agent. The thing is doing the action. Like, you know how you say, if I want to say the package was sent by plane. Now the action is being done by the plane. So that translation for me would be le colis a été envoyé par avion, or the message was transmitted by radio. That is, le message a été transmis par radio. Okay, so en and a is for how a person travels. Par, on the other hand, I'm putting it on the chat, is how something is sent or transported. So this, I'll put in the examples also that I just messaged so that maybe it clears out a little bit. There you go. Okay, so le colis a été envoyé par avion, by the plane. The message was transmitted by radio. Now this by is par, but your mode of expression of transportation is en or a. Okay.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
Perfect. If you guys feel you guys have more questions around prepositions, we can schedule something where I can explain in detail about prepositions. You can keep them ready. You can in fact put them on the comment section as well. I'll make sure we do something around it. Okay. All right. Let's go forward. A very, very important element, which is adverb, one of my favorites, because it's something that I keep emphasizing for all the B2 students as well, to keep using adverbs. Adverbs are anything that are describing your verb. Okay, how is it being done? Or a noun. And so in this case, if I say j'aime certainement des pommes, now certainement is describing a little more how do you like something. So you like something certainly. So one kind of a very obvious adverb is all your LYs in English. Slowly, quickly, generously, certainly. So all of these, your LYs are all your adverbs. Other than that, lesser common ones, très. You anyway use it a lot. Un peu. So je suis très fatigué. How tired are you? Très. Je parle un peu français. How do you speak? Un peu. So these adverbs add a lot of value to your existing sentence. It makes it more descriptive. And I keep emphasizing all my students at even their B2 level, especially for your TEF and TCF examinations, for your production tasks, your writing and speaking, please use adverbs. They improve the quality of your sentences. Some common adverbs: toujours, which means always. Je bois toujours du café le matin. as simple as saying je bois du café le matin, I drink coffee in the morning. And the moment you say je bois toujours du café le matin, it brings about a very nice expression in your voice. B, it's good vocab to add. C, it improves the quality of your sentence. So try using it as much as possible. And I'm not saying don't keep using très everywhere. There are so many more that you can use. You have toujours, souvent, which is often. Elle lit souvent un livre le soir. Parfois, which means sometimes. Another synonym for parfois, that's quelquefois. Nous regardons parfois la télé. Jamais, which is never. Elle ne mange jamais de viande. He never eats meat. Instead of just saying he doesn't eat meat, we'll elevate the level. He never eats meat. And the moment you put that adverb, no, your expression of voice also changes, which is very nice and for your examinations, for your expressions. Maintenant, which is now. Tu fais tes devoirs maintenant. Hier, again. Hier, aujourd'hui, demain are also adverbs. So, j'ai vu Marie hier. I saw Marie yesterday. Nous avons un examen aujourd'hui. We have an exam today. Elle part en voyage demain. She's leaving on a trip tomorrow. These are some very common adverbs that you already know of. I want you to just use them more consciously use them now. Okay? Tôt, which is early. Je me lève tôt le matin. Tard, which is late. Il rentre. Now see, the sentence structures again, guys. Observe very carefully. The subject, you have the subject. You have the verb. And then, in some cases, for example, you have the article, you have the preposition, you have the preposition, you have the adverb. A combination of these elements after your verb will increase the length of your sentence, okay? Il parle bien français. Je chante mal. Tu cours vite. These are all adverbs that will, as you can clearly see, come after your verb. And they modify your verb. Lentement, which means slowly. Elle parle lentement. Ici, which means here. Le professeur est ici. The professor is here. Again, describing a little bit more in the sentence. So adverbs, guys, apart from these, all your LYs, which is MENTs, please use them massively. Okay? All right. When we look at the subject, the verb, and then we figure that we can use prepositions, articles, adverbs, and then we can have our objet. So after our verb, we can have any of these possibilities. Let's look at the next option, which is our negation, which is your basic rule. Ne plus verb plus pas. Now, so your subject comes as it is, followed by a ne, followed by the verb, followed by pas. Okay? Je ne mange pas, followed by your object then. Je ne vais pas, followed by your object. Je ne parle pas, followed by your object. Le stylo n'est pas, obviously your le stylo here is your subject. A, which is your verb, ne pas, and then your object. And then an object you can obviously see in some, you have prepositions being used or you have articles being used. So the structure has to have those elements. So be very, when you're making sentences, see if you've put them in the right place. Okay? So we've done negation. Let's look at fifth one, which is your time expressions. Very similar to what you saw here in an example. So let's just go back to the example that we had. Right here. These are time expressions. Now let's see how we use them. Okay. Your time expressions are things like depuis, which is basically since, or things like pendant. Let's review them together. Okay, so depuis, which means since. Something that started in the past and it's still continuing in the present also. So use in present tense. So if I say, j'habite à Paris depuis 2019. Now, I'm still living in Paris. Il travaille ici depuis 2 ans. He's working here since 2 years. Now I'm still working, no? Hence I'm using depuis. Nous attendons depuis 10 minutes. We're waiting since 10 minutes. I'm still waiting. So this depuis is used for something that started in the past, but it's still continuing in your present. That's your since. Okay? If you were to replace this with something like pendant, pendant means for. It is just the duration. And that action is completed. And it's definitely used for something which is either in the past or in the future, not in your present, guys. So for example, I say, j'ai voyagé. I'm going to use my highlighter there. J'ai voyagé pendant un mois. That means you were traveling for 1 month. You traveled for 1 month. It's over. My Europe trip for 1 month is over now. So that's pendant un mois. Il a étudié pendant 3 heures. I started studying, I finished studying, and that was for 3 hours. Elle va rester ici pendant 2 semaines. He's going to stay here. He's not already stayed. He's not staying. He's going to stay for 2 weeks. That's your usage of pendant. Okay, so that's the basic difference between the two very, very important terms that we often see people messing up, which is depuis and pendant. All right. The third thing, which is also very similar, pour. Again, means for. We all know this, pour means for. But it's a planned duration, which is usually in the future, which basically means something that you intend to do in the future. For example, je pars pour une semaine. I'm going to be leaving for 1 week. Now, you intend to leave for 1 week. So that's your intention. So that's pour. Ils sont ici pour les vacances. They're here for vacations. That's my intention for being here. So your pour, which also translates to for, means a planned duration, which is in the future, or more specifically, an intended action. Il y a. Now, il y a, one thing we know, il y a is there is and there are. But il y a also means ago. Ago. So, for example, I say, j'ai déménagé. I shifted. Déménager is when you relocate. Okay, so I relocated. Il y a 2 ans. It has been, or it was 2 years ago. So, il y a in this reference does not mean there is or there are. It means X much of time ago. It has been these many years, these many days. Il a mangé. He's eaten. He ate. Il y a 1 heure. It has been 1 hour. That basically means 1 hour ago. We don't have a word for ago. This is the expression for ago, which is il y a 1 heure, 1 hour ago. Nous sommes arrivés. We arrived 10 minutes ago. Il y a 10 minutes. Okay. And again, then we have dans as we circle back to it, which is basically a time period in the future. Le train va arriver ou le train arrive dans 10 minutes, short period of time. Je vais partir dans 1 semaine. Le cours commence dans quelques instants. Short durations of time in the future. All right. So the elements that we visibly saw today was the usage of subjects, which is the person who's performing the action. We talked about how it's going to be followed by a verb, which is the action that is being done, followed by the complement. And the more descriptive the complement is, the more detailed or longer your sentences are going to be. Where, what, which place, with, all of that. We have a question on the chat. Is adjective part of COD? Okay. Now that's a great grammar question. COD, which is complement d'objet direct. When you look at COD, that is basically who or what. Okay, it comes after your verb. An adjective is describing your noun. So it does not function as a COD exactly. So the adjective is never the COD, but the noun, pronoun is the COD, if you understand what that is. But if your question is it part of our object? Is that also your question?
Ma'am, that is the question, because I was thinking like we discussed about adjectives and all the parts of the sentence. I'm just understanding to which criteria that adjective will fit.
Okay, so as a thumb rule, to be very honest, object, which is just say or they, is always like a noun or a pronoun. An adjective is extra information about that noun. So it's not exactly a say or they.
Okay. All
Yeah?
right.
Okay.
Thank you
Cool.
so much, ma'am.
Perfect. All right, guys. That was basically all that we wanted to cover today with respect to how to construct sentences. What are the elements that you can expect in a sentence and how to make elaborated sentences? Now, obviously, this goes much forward when I start adding conjunctions to it, connectors to it, and I keep increasing the length of my sentence. But today was mostly to brush up your basic sentence building skills. And of course, we had some excellent questions coming in with respect to preposition that I'm glad that I was able to answer, and I hope you were able to understand them. But before we wind up today's session, do we have any more questions? Or were you able to understand what we had planned for today? Are we all good? Y a-t-il des questions? C'est clair? Okay, superb, guys. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed this session. I'm glad. Thank you so much, guys. That's superb. It's very nice. So kind of you throwing in all the responses. Thank you. I enjoyed it equally. It really helps me when I see you guys. That's very, very important to me. So thank you so much for bearing with it. Also, to leave you all on a very exciting note, we have another very, very exciting session which is coming up in the following weeks, which is going to be centered around TCF. But again, very, very relevant to all students, whether you guys are A1, A2, B1, or B2 level. You're going to be getting the information soon. You guys can obviously make sure you guys have that information on the WhatsApp channels that you have and also on YouTube, but you're going to have everything available, and we're going to be doing some very, very nice constructive sessions in the future. If you also have any suggestions, some things that you really want to do and you want us to take it up, just put it in the comments, and I'm going to try and make sure we develop content around it. Okay? Perfect. Super. You guys were excellent today. You guys had some great questions, and I'm sure they were helpful for the others as well. Okay? All right. Perfect. Have a lovely weekend, guys. Au revoir. Please put in your suggestions on the comments, and we're going to try taking them up. Okay? I promise. Okay? And we'll try to do an elevated session for this as well to make more complex sentences. This was just part one. This is a tiny session of it. We'll try to do something as part B2 for it. Okay? Perfect. Superb. Au revoir. Au revoir. Have a lovely weekend. Bon weekend à vous. Au revoir.